Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome in to a Thursday edition of the JP Peterson Show, coming to you live from our RHS studios over here in St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm your host today, Nick Geddes. Will not be alone. JP is at Buccaneers camp. Hasn't had a chance to make it out there, obviously, because they start training. They start camp during our show. But he made it out there today, and he's supposed to join us here in within the first 30 minutes to give us a little bit of a live report of what's going on out there in minicamp and dive into what's taking place out there, some of the comments yesterday from Lavonte David, which were really interesting, and Todd Bowles as well. So we look forward to talking to JP there, and then he's going to skirt out a little bit then there to watch the rest of training camp, and then he'll come back on around 11:30 to wrap it up for us as well. So that will be good. We also got the Rays, who last night finally solved the Oakland A's. The winning streak is over. 7-game winning streak for the MLB worst Oakland A's is finally over at the hands of the Rays. The bats got going last night, 13 hits, Glasnow on the mound. The bullpen shut it down, so we will get into that as well. But without further ado, I see he's popped in the screen here. He looks good. Let's get him in here.
Can you hear me? You hear me? Test.
I know we didn't. Yeah, we didn't get a chance to test, but we got you here. We got you.
Cool. It's a little steamy out here today, but got a little overcast layer. Not too bad. Everybody's out here, including Devin White, who was joking around with his teammates with Mike Evans.
Good to see.
Yeah, obviously, Lavonte David had some things to say yesterday about Devin White's situation, and I think what we learned from those comments, and I'm sure you'll play some of them later on, is that I don't think, obviously, Lavonte does not necessarily agree with how Devin is handling his business. Guys aren't going to say that directly, but by saying the emotions got the best of him, he just – I think he's acknowledging that this is probably not the most professional way to handle it, and certainly not the most effective way to handle it. But Devin's out here again in his sweats with the hoodie on, the black hoodie on. I mean, I think you can get in shape just doing that, standing out here in a black hoodie. But he's not working. He's not doing anything. The team just got called up together. I'm told this is going to be a quick practice. So they may not be out here the entire time, and I can't really give play-by-play. So we'll talk about a lot about what happened yesterday and what's going on here today, just in generic terms. They just called everybody up a level. I think they're going to be doing some stuff. They did some special teams work so far, but nothing really big. But I will say this, just watching with your own eyes out here, Baker Mayfield, he was running over to do some drills, and as the savvy veteran that he is, he stopped and chatted with Jason Light for just a moment. They had a quick little chuckle and a quick little laugh. He's really endeared himself to everybody since he's gotten here. As we mentioned yesterday, he's been to every charity event that his teammates have thrown. We chatted with him at the Mike Evans event the couple nights ago, and you can just tell that he's kind of taken over this team. I'm not saying he's got the starting quarterback job locked up, but you could tell he definitely has the attention and has been folded into the team, so to speak. He's doing a great job.
I was going to say, did we have an insight report from you? Did they complete passes today? How did the quarterbacks look throwing the ball? Is there anything you've been able to glean from there, seeing them?
Yes, during the drop back portion of practice, where they practice their drop backs and throw 10-yard passes, Baker Mayfield was 10 for 10. Kyle Trask was 10 for 10, and then Wolford, the little guy intern that was catching the passes, dropped it. So I'm not going to put that on him, but just I shouldn't be doing play by play. But yeah, the little kid dropped the ball, so he's not a player though, folks. We're just kidding. But
a little kid.
And glean from this stuff, right? And most of this is just getting on the same page mentally. But yesterday, I mean, they're playing football, so you're keeping track, right? They're out here practicing against each other. Kyle Trask got the starter reps yesterday and did really, really well. Threw a 3 touchdown passes in the red zone area. Didn't have any interceptions like he did the day before. So much better from Kyle Trask. Baker Mayfield did not have any turnovers. I'm watching they're doing some 11-11 right now, and I can't do play-by-play, but let me just say, Devin Tompkins, I love Devin Tompkins, and he just, he continues to impress me with everything that he does. And I think the coach, and he's fighting for a roster spot. Don't get it twisted. He's fighting for a roster spot, but when this practice is over, I'll be able to explain, some of the things that we saw here today. Because I legally can't do it right now. But I like Devin Tompkins. I love his speed, his return ability. But let's just be honest with it. There's one receiver spot open, maybe 2 if they carry an extra. And he's going to be competing with Trey Palmer and a couple other guys. So it's going to be tight, but that's what you want. You want good competition, because I think Devin Tompkins can play in this league. I really do believe that. I'm not saying he's a number 1 receiver or a future superstar, but he's a guy that can give you, 30, 40 catches, 500 yards, and maybe 3 or 4 touchdowns in a season. And that's valuable stuff from a guy that's not a 1-2 or, could be a 3, but he's a hell of a player. I love his size. I love his heart. I love his moxie.
I will say, I hate to compare him to Jalen Darden, but I kind of feel like they have kind of the same profile just as a receiver a little bit. And so I've been a lot more impressed with Devin Tompkins than I ever saw out of Jalen. And if he's going to be in the mix for the return duties, I think we're both kind of just looking, just catch the ball. Please catch the ball. And let's show some
don't run straight to the sideline.
Yeah, and remember, didn't he get a cameo last year, kind of returning punts and stuff?
Yeah.
And it looked like he took on contact and would go towards the middle of the field. And I think that's honestly his way of making this roster. I really do.
And he knows it. And I'm sure he heard the whispers like everybody else about Jalen Darden running for the sideline. And, we got a year and a half of that until the organization said, okay, we're done with that. Once again, way too slow for my tastes. But you invest the draft pick. You want to see what a guy can do, see if the light's going to come on. It just never did for Jalen. But, Devin's a completely different animal. He doesn't mind the contact, even though he's 5'7", 165. But he can jump out of the gym, and he plays so much bigger than his stature, and he knows how to get open. And I love what he brings to the table. Now, again, he's not getting 30 targets or 10 targets a game, but he's a guy that can help you in a lot of different ways with his speed. Because remember, this is a team that is not the fastest team in the world, right? They need some more playmakers, especially in this offense. Now, when you talk about crossing routes and option routes, Devin Tompkins is a guy. If I were a corner, if I were Carlton Davis or Jamel Dean, I wouldn't want to have to cover that guy. He's just too quick out of the break, and he creates separation. And if you get him the ball on the run, he's a big play waiting to happen. So, we'll see. But again, he may not make this team. We'll see.
Yeah, and Richie even chimed in here, and this is what I was going to bring up. He said if Russell Gage can't get on the field consistently, there might be a hard decision made there, and that could open for Devin. I think Russell Gage's spot on the 53 is safe, obviously. I mean, he's still the third best receiver on the team. I don't think anybody's going to debate you there, but, availability is a big thing, and he wasn't available last year, and this is 2 years in a row now where he's missing crucial time in a new offense for him. Last year, he wasn't able to get up to speed, I don't think, with the injuries. And now this year, with all the creativity and the unpredictability and all of the new age modern football that we're going to see in this offense potentially, I think it's not great at all that he's not out there. He's not out there again today, right?
No, well, he's out here, but he's not practicing. He's not
Right.
practicing. In fact, he went in, came out here, ran a little bit, and I think went in with Shaq Barrett. So I'm going with Shaq Barrett. So they're both probably going in to get treatment and rehab. Shaq's out here. He had the hoodie on as well, but I think he's still working his way back from an Achilles, and that was an injury that happened mid-season. So. I hope Shaq can get back. I mean, everybody hopes Shaq can get back and be productive this year for a lot of different reasons, right? And so it was just good to see him back out here, and I think he'll be ready for training camp, be ready to go, and hopefully be able to, imagine getting an edge rusher like that back. That's like drafting a number one edge rusher to get him back, and the Bucs desperately need to have him back because they've got to put more pressure on the quarterbacks. And think of the quarterbacks are going to play this year, right? A lot of young quarterbacks, talented quarterbacks, mobile quarterbacks. Yeah, they're going to need guys like Shaq Barrett to pressure these guys into mistakes because that's what young quarterbacks do, right? You pressure them into mistakes. And I think that's, you look at the draft and what they did in the draft with Ramirez, Diaby, and even Cansey, right? Kalijah Cansey, they're counting on him to be a big part of their pass rush and free guys up. And I think he will. If he can, play the way we think he can play with that get off, then, that's really going to help your pass rush. And he's assimilating well. You can see how his get off is special. I mean, he's special. He gets off the ball really quick. Now, not in pads right now, so he can't, apply his leverage moves and some of the physicality that he brings to the game. So you don't get a real good feel. And, these coaches don't want, guys going full force up front either. Stay on your feet. That's how Ryan got hurt last year, right?
I was just going to point that out with Logan Hall last year, kind of going. Was it Logan Hall, right? Last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think even Levante, in his comments yesterday, he kind of mention that about the rookies. They come in and they're running around like their hair's on fire, and sometimes you got to learn to control it a little bit. And so we definitely don't need any more injuries at the beginning of camp. We don't need to ruin any chances that we have early on. But I was going to ask you about that because you mentioned Yaya there. Have you gotten a chance to see your boy Servassier? How are these rookies looking out there? Is he fit the bill of everything we've been hearing?
Yeah, as I know, I can't really do the play-by-play. I'm watching out here right now. He's not. Actually, I believe he is on the field out there. But it's funny with the rookies because they want to come in and impress, right? They want to, their job is on the line every practice they come out here, even though this isn't training camp and even though it's not pads. They know that they are under the microscope and everything they do, every rep they take, the coaches are watching. Every rep is taped, right? And they go over it in practice and in meetings. So every rep you take is part of your resume, right? It's part of your resume if you're going to make this club. So yeah, they want to go 110%. But the vets are like, okay, Rook, I got knees here to protect, right? I got my career to protect. So it's a bit of a delicate dance between the rookies and the veterans as to how hard you can go, what the practice speed is, and when one guy's going full force and the other guy's kind of not, guys can get embarrassed, right? So you don't want to embarrass any of the veterans either. So it's a very delicate dance you have to do with these OTAs when you don't have full pads on, and just to make sure nobody gets injured. Because the Ryan Jensen thing is Exhibit A on how the season can really go south just in one moment of a practice rep, right? And that's football. That's football, but you got to be careful.
Yep. So while we got you here, as long as you're okay with it, if you don't mind, I feel like we could play the Levante audio from yesterday.
Sure.
We can get a little bit into the Devin White. You started with it a little bit, but we can expound. I had Levante's comments cut up here from yesterday.
Okay,
so
yeah.
Let's listen to that real quick. Kind of react there with each other.
Yeah, I mean, it just emotions got the best of him. I know Devin wants to be here. He wants to play here. So his emotions got the best of him. And he's here. He's here ready to work. He's not ready to go right now, but he'll be getting himself ready for training camp. And, I talked to him throughout the whole process. Whatever that stuff was going on with him, I know the type of person Devin is. So I know he's ready to get back out there and, play football and be able to help us win.
All right, so that of Levante there, and then he kind of continued to go on and it said, he's a leader, he's a captain of this team. He said the word captain, if you recall. So we had that discussion yesterday. Is he still going to be a captain? And Levante kind of pointed it out there.
Go ahead and play it. You got that audio queued up. Go ahead and play that because I think I'd rather hear it from Levante, and then we can respond to it.
Yeah, let me keep rolling here because I think he gets to it here. Hold on 1 second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Like I said, man, don't let your emotions get the best of you. Sometimes that can, backfire against you. People can use that against you. Everybody know you're not that type of person. You're a very passionate person, not a very emotional person. So, show your passion. Just show that you love the game. You want to be here for the city of Tampa, for the organization of Tampa, and you love playing football with your teammates. He's a captain. He's a leader. A lot of guys look up to him. As a young football player when he came in this game. As the 5th overall pick, he made an immediate impact for us. So we definitely need him out there, and he knows that. And Devin, he's grown into his leader himself. And for me to be here and watch him grow, and watch him, improve year to year is definitely great to see.
Well, that's interesting what Levante said, right? Pretty much what we've been saying, word for word, right? And so you can tell that the players on this team, they love Devin. They love Devin as a teammate. They want him to be out here. They know how good he can be, but they also are like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? The emotions got the best of them. And listen, when you have a career goal of being that $100 million guy, and you're so close to it, and you got to remember there's people in Devin's ear, right? The agents are in his ear. There's probably family members that are in his ear, buddies that are in his ear. Like, you're the man, you deserve this money. Don't let them treat you like this. Don't do that. Don't do this. And, you're young, you can get caught up in all that stuff. But when you hear the elder statesman, right, when you hear Levante, who he looks up to like an older brother, right, and say all the things that we're saying and that everybody is saying, that, I think Devin's smart enough to let that sink in and know that's where his head needs to be at. So, look, what's best for the Bucs is if they could trade him and Servassier Dennis, becomes that guy, great. But that's a lot of ifs, right? What are you going to get for him at this point? I think he's hurt his trade value tremendously by what he's done over this offseason. I don't think it's a great idea. All these things that he's done. No, it looks like it might be ending practice right now. That was quick. But anyway, yeah, it's just you could tell that Levante is not okay with what's gone on. But, if Devin can show up at training camp, be in shape, be ready. I mean, it's still 6 weeks away. He's got plenty of time to get ready. It would be nice if he was out here today and doing everything with these guys, but it's not critical for a guy that's been in this system as long as he has. So get in shape, get your butt in here, and let's get it going.
All
right. Looks like practice is wrapping up. So Todd Bowles will be coming over here in just a little minute. So why don't we take a little bit of a break, and then we'll come back and we'll see if we get Todd Bowles live here.
Sounds good. Let's take a little break here. All right, we'll be back here in about 3 minutes. Hopefully we can get Todd Bowles. So nice of JP to join us here live from Bucs mandatory minicamp. So back in 3. Stay with us.
Guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. So do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area modern medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give 3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by. Never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com. Tell them JP sent you. Get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves, clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to JeevesLawGroup.com.
During COVID, over 1.7 million people were added to the Florida Medicaid rolls, but as of April 1st, 2023, most of these people may not be eligible for the Medicaid coverage and will lose their health plan. If you have been notified you are losing your coverage, don't freak out. It's very likely you can apply for a federal subsidy under the Affordable Care Act. Just call 877-652-0244. Our representatives will walk you through the whole process, get some basic information on your income, number of kids, and then they'll find a plan that best fits your needs. In fact, with the new laws, 90% of Americans qualify for reduced or free health care. You can select great plans like Florida Blue, that's my carrier, love them, paying $800 left after making the call. 877-652-0244. Our highly trained professionals know all the intricacies of the new laws. They will do all the work. You save tons of money. So if you're being dropped from Medicaid, fear not. Call 877-652-0244. Get real health insurance, free doctor visits, free blood work, no deductibles. 877-652-0244.
Coming back at you.
Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on a Thursday. JP out at Bucs mandatory minicamp, which has just wrapped up day 3, about an hour practice, which is typically how this goes. Usually the last practice is a little bit lighter, but Todd Bowles is speaking right now at the podium. So let me go live here to the Bucs, who I think Bowles has just entered the podium. So let's jump in here live and see what the coach has to say today.
Morning.
Coach, can you just give us an assessment on today's practice?
I was short and sweet. We cleaned up some things in the red zone that we needed to work on, and I thought we got better.
If you look at this week as a whole, just what's your overall thoughts on how the guys competed, communicated, and everything else that you wanted to see?
It's more of a mental thing. It's just an extension of OTAs, really, with more meetings. So nothing's changed from that standpoint. But the learning process, we tried to finalize a few things that we needed to clean up, and I thought we got that done. We got a good amount of the concepts installed, you know, as far as the mixing and matching and the things we have to do. We'll get that done in training camp. It's kind of hard without pads to really get the running game instilled, but we got the concepts done, so we were happy about that.
Todd, is there any player in particular when training camp gets here and the pads come on that you're most looking forward to or most interested in watching because you can't really get the full idea here with them in shorts and shirts?
I think it's all of them. It's a physical game up front, whether it's offense or defense. You want to see how they play in pads. Like you said, we don't award nobody in shorts and T-shirts, so all of them have to show out once we get in pads.
Coach Baker has been a guy that's turned the ball
Well, I have to see all of them first to see what kind they were, but, you know, you try to get the ball out of his hands and try to make sure he's making the right read. And if the guy's covered, try to throw it out of bounds. You're a quarterback, you're going to take some chances, and you're going to have some turnovers. Just try to limit them as much as we can.
Anything else? What did you learn about your team during this offseason and minicamp?
They work hard. You know, they work hard and they're coming together. Everything else will take care of itself once the pads come on.
Any message to the team as everyone parts ways?
Similar, come back in shape. Injured guys get healthier and be ready to go.
Coach, your rookies are in for a rude awakening when training camp starts in terms of the weather. We've had some actually really nice weather during this mini camp. Are you expressing to them that the humidity is going to be a lot different when training camp starts?
Anytime you come to the state of Florida, you should expect it to be hot. They understand that.
Coach, you got most of these rookies signed so far. What are you hoping they're going to contribute in training camp and in the season?
Just what they showed on college tape. There's a reason we took them, so we're going to get in pads and hopefully they do the same thing.
Even though you're not in pads, does the speed show up here? Does that speed that you favor? Can you see some of the guys on defense?
You can see it up front on defense. Obviously, they're more athletic, so you can see a lot of the speed show up, yes.
What is your outlook on this team from the time period from now up until training camp?
Today, they come back healthy. Tomorrow, I'm going to be on vacation, and I'm not going to have an outlook. But when I get back, just staying healthy over the summer, not getting in any trouble, come back and not forget the things they learned.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there's Coach Todd Bowles live there from at the conclusion of Buccaneers mandatory minicamp, and I believe they break now for about 6 weeks, I want to say, around there until we get to training camp. And again, not much, I guess, in the weeds there of what went on with mandatory minicamp. Obviously, it's really hard to evaluate players when they're not in pads and all those things. But as he said, the most important thing here, and Bruce Arians used to preach this all the time, is stay in shape and don't get in trouble. And Todd Bowles said the same exact thing. So hopefully we get that exact result when we come back for training camp. He did mention the Baker Mayfield there, and I mentioned that yesterday because we're all kind of assuming that Baker is probably going to be the guy here for the Bucs. But I had mentioned before that turnovers have kind of been a little bit of an issue for Baker Mayfield. 62 interceptions since 2018, since he came to the league, which is first in the league. So for all the talk about, we have to have a quarterback who doesn't turn the ball over and make the right reads and find the open guy and all those things, it's all great, but you have to go and do it. And so hoping Baker Mayfield can definitely turn into that guy for the Buccaneers. But let's go live back out to Bucs mandatory minicamp. Kalijah Cansey, I believe, has come to the podium. So let's hear what the Buccaneers' first-round pick this season had to say after his first NFL minicamp.
I think I learned a lot of football schematically, just understanding the new defense for me, coming from a 4-3 in college and 3-4 here, and just a lot of movements and stuff like that. So it's just understanding football as a pro.
What's your take on Todd Bowles' defense? It's quite aggressive. People are flying around all over the place, and the blitz packages, it really can come from anywhere.
I love it. It's awesome. A lot of movements, which I'm good at, with speed in the interior, which is what we want. So I think it's a great thing. I love it.
Levante said yesterday, he said, I've known about Kalijah since the Liberty City Warriors. When did you learn about Levante David? When did you know who he was?
Okay, so like growing up in Miami, he was like the bigger name, the hero coming from Liberty City, and he was the guy that led the way. So we always like went to his camps and stuff like that growing up. And when I got in high school, he was talked about more and more, and then I just started to understand and learn more about him as I got into high school, because he's a legend down there in Miami.
He's the oldest player on the team now officially. Is it for you, having grown up and looked up to him? Is it great? What's that like?
Man, this is awesome when you go from looking up to someone to now being their teammate, their peer. I think it's awesome how you see, like, when I was younger, I looked up to him. Now I'm in the same locker room as him, so it's awesome.
Do you line it up next to Vita Vea, playing with him during these practices? Just what's your thoughts on playing with him, and has he showing you the ropes at all?
Yes, Vita's doing a great job of teaching me the game. He's helping me out a lot, and he's going to draw a lot of attention, which will help me out and the defense out as well.
Do you still find yourself looking around and saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm actually here. I'm in the NFL"? Is it still kind of sinking in for you?
Here and there, I kind of say it, but then I try to live in a moment. But I always catch myself like saying, "Dang, man, I'm here." But sometimes I just like lock back in and just live in a moment.
Elijah, what are some personal things that you want to work on heading into training camp?
I want to be able to stay in shape, come back ready to go, and wherever the team needs me, I want to be able to provide.
You've been able to explore Tampa at all since you moved here, or anything you really want to do now moving to Florida?
I actually didn't explore Tampa as much, but I'm definitely going to go to like the theme parks, the water parks, and stuff like that, have some fun.
Have you set any goals for yourself for your rookie season yet?
Not exactly. For me, my main thing was getting into the program and the system and learning everything and being able to execute it on the field. And once I'm doing that and comfortable with doing that, then I'll set my goals.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, Kalijah Cansey right there, speaking after his first mandatory mini camp. Let's go back out to JP, who is still standing by here. Let's bring him in. All right, there you go, JP.
Hey, buddy. Yeah, I'm standing here right where the interviews are going on, and just Kalijah Cansey. This is actually the first time I've seen him in person, and he's small. For an NFL defensive lineman, he's really small. Like, he's like my height. I mean, obviously he's 285. He's built. I mean, he is strong, and he's got he's got some junk in his trunk. Ain't no doubt about that. But it's visible, and I think this is the reason why so many, I think, NFL teams, they love his tape. They love his tape. You turn on the tape, he looks like he plays at 320, right? Knocking people over, dominating guys that are 50, 60, 70 pounds heavier than he is. But when you get out here on an NFL field, he looks visibly small. But that quickness, you could say the same thing about Von Miller. You could say the same thing, interior guys, Aaron Donald. When he first came out of college, looked almost exactly like Cansey now. Aaron Donald's probably beefed up, 20 pounds. He's got his band strength. This is still a very young kid. And he's going to get bigger. He'll put on some of that weight, but just like visibly seeing him without pads right here, if he was, he just, like he said, he's just going to the water park. You were at the water park with him. You're like, oh, that dude probably was a really good college football player or high school, but he plays for the Bucs. Really? Really? He's a defensive lineman. And he's just from the eye test. It's just, he looks small, but look, nobody knows how he's going to be able to fare in the NFL. But when you put on his tape, and you put on, you look at his tape against Tennessee, for instance, who had two interior linemen that are going to be playing in the NFL. I think one was already drafted. He's knocking these guys over. He's pushing them back, 4, 5, 6 yards into the backfield. So, football is low man wins. Low man wins. And you can be small, you can be short in stature, but if you know how to play with leverage and you use your quickness, you can affect people. And I think that, the Bucs are maybe a little bit ahead of the trend here. I think in this passing league that you now have and run games being de-emphasized, I think smaller, quicker defensive linemen are going to be extremely valuable. I mean, every one of these, look what the Bucs are doing on the offensive line, right? They're trying to get bigger. They're trying to get heavier, right? If I'm Matt Filer at 6'5", 330, and this cat's lining up across from me, I'd almost want a guy that, bigger, my size, that I know I'm just going to wrestle with, right? This guy's going right by you. Like, you don't have time to wrestle him because he's getting underneath you and he's going right by you. So I think it'll be interesting. This is going to be one of the real interesting things about this season, to see how Bowles utilizes his special skills and how effective he can be. I mean, teams may just, double team and bounce off him and be able to knock him, 5 yards back. We've seen that a little bit in practice, but again, without pads, without him being able to go low, because they don't want him to go low. We talked about this. It's just a different thing. He can't play like he plays on the field. So, I'm not going to put any stock in anything that's happening out here for any of these linemen, because it's all you could look at their feet a little bit and see how quick they are, how athletic they are. That'll give you a little feel for how they can play in the NFL. But from an offensive lineman standpoint, but from a defensive line standpoint, you're just getting nothing out of this. So
Yeah, and I was going to say, and the other thing is, I haven't had a chance to see him next to Vita Vea in a real game. And, I mean, you want to talk about contrasting styles and being able to work off of one another. I think that has a chance to be, if this all goes well with Elijah Cansey, that could be the best 1-2 combo interior in the league. I think that's what their ceiling truly is, because of their contrasting styles of play. And I think it's going to help Elijah a lot early on in his career at a position that typically takes a little bit slower for guys to get going, as you know. But I don't see many guys like him coming to the league and playing next to Vea, right?
I think it's going to be interesting too, because I think this is going to be a little bit of a trend in the NFL to get these smaller, quicker, stronger guys on the defensive line, because as we said, the game is evolving, right? Look at, we're still in a kind of a transition phase between the dinosaur drop back quarterbacks of Tom Brady to, the Lamar Jacksons, the Jalen Hurts, these type of quarterbacks that are super mobile, really, really good, fast guys. They can find, the quarterback draws, the rollouts, all these things. You need athletic guys that can run. And we've seen over the past couple of years, the Hicks, Hicks Vita Vea combo, Ndamukong Suh Vita Vea, two big, huge guys in the middle. It's great for run defense, but when teams aren't running the ball as much, right? Then, is it better to get a guy like Cansey who can run side to side, go sideline to sideline, can penetrate? You got a lot of these offensive line schemes where you're pulling blockers. That creates seams in the offensive line, right? And quick guys, if you can penetrate in there, that's where you really disrupt the running game. So I think it's the trend. I think the Bucs are ahead of this trend, and I'm gonna say that maybe in the next 4 to 5 years, you're going to see more what I would call hybrid defensive linemen, guys like Cansey, who can play low, who can be quick, who can get into the backfield and just create havoc. So it's kind of the Aaron Donald version, but again, Aaron Donald is just a special dude. We all know that. But if you're looking at stature, size, quickness, he's about as close to Aaron Donald clone as you're ever going to get. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting to watch and see how Bowles uses him and how effective he can be in the NFL.
Well, I think even if you gave me 75 to 80% of Aaron Donald, even if I got that out of Elijah Cansey, I think I'd take it.
God, yes.
75 to 80% of Aaron Donald is probably a top 10 defensive tackle in the league. So I would be moon if Cansey could give you that. And you mentioned the way the league's going and the Bucs getting out in front of that. That's the thing that's so like I'm curious to see how this works, is because in Todd Bowles' defense, I don't think he's ever had someone like this on his defensive line before. Like you mentioned, and you can go back to Arizona and look at the same thing in New York, it's always been bigger guys in the middle, and they clog up the run game. But we saw that at the end of 2021, and it's why Ndamukong Suh wasn't back last year, is that in space, Ndamukong Suh just wasn't quick enough to get out to the sidelines and make tackles. And in the Rams game, in the playoffs, that was shown. And then last year with Akeem Hicks, bigger body, older, obviously, which is what the team had kind of transitioned to, broke down a lot as he had the few years before. So now you get he's 10 years younger than Akeem Hicks. We forget that.
Right.
10 years younger here. He's got a lot of football to play in his career, and I'm curious to see how it works, obviously, like I said, because it's just so different from what we've seen from a Todd Bowles defense.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And, you throw Shaq Barrett in there. By the way, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, saw him coming out. He kind of a little late to practice, probably get some therapy or something. He's noticeably heavier. I would say 15 to 20 pounds. He looks way bigger than the last time I saw. Yeah, way bigger. And it's muscle weight. He's not a fat guy at all. I mean, that guy his neck is thicker. His body is thicker. He just, he looks like, typically one of those guys that comes in from college, a thinner person, and then they get in here, they start eating right, they start working out all the time, they get that man strength. So that's something that I like to see. He just looks bigger. He looks more the part of an outside linebacker now than he did, I think, the last couple of years. To me, he was a little thin, didn't set the edge very well. We'll see. And with this weight comes strength, right? I mean, it's not just weight, it's strength. And if you're picking up, 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds on your bench press and some of these other, things that, bench press as much as they used to, but the press that they use to get blockers off them, you getting, 20, 30% stronger. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal in the NFL. You got to get up to that level. Now you can play. Now you can use your athleticism, right? Now you're just not getting pushed around or pushed outside, to create that seam for the running lane. So that's a positive. And Logan Hall, same way, looked noticeably bigger. So these guys, this is a big part of winning in the NFL that we don't talk enough about, and that's player development. And player development is not just coaching and getting better cerebrally. It's also about getting bigger, stronger, faster. And I think the Bucs do a really, really good job of that. Their strength and conditioning program is really, really good. They've always been ahead in terms of nutritional science, getting the data on their players from the shoulder pads and their practices and all that stuff. So that's become a critical part of player development. I think the Bucs do a really good job of that. And Logan Hall's got to step up. JTS has got to step up. All these guys that have been here for a year or so, they got to step up and become impact players, and if that doesn't happen, if these guys don't become productive players, then you look back at those drafts and you say, okay, we missed on that guy. When the guy's here 1-2 years and is still not, becoming a better football player, not getting bigger, not getting stronger, you got issues. But with all these guys, it seems like, at least from the eye test, that they're bigger, stronger, faster, and they're going to need that to create an impact here.
Well, yeah, I mean, the two players you mentioned, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and Logan Hall, and then I'll go Cansey in there as well. Those three guys playing three separate positions. We talk about a lot about, this team has a lot of really good players on it. And defensively, I just started thinking, it's like I was trying to count the number here. Like, we already know Levante David, Vita Vea, Shaq Barrett when he's healthy, the two corners, Winfield and Neal. Okay, so you got 7 players already right there that I would consider really good players in the NFL. And some of them in the top of their tier, when I'm talking about Levante David, Winfield, and Vita Vea, if you can get those 3 guys to hit, you have a full defense right there. You have a full defense right there. And at that point, we're talking like a defense that potentially you could see pop up in the top 5 in some statistics. And I'm here to tell you, and I think you'd agree, it doesn't matter what kind of play. You still need the quarterback play to play, somewhat competent, right? Serviceable, right. The word I'll use.
Don't turn it over.
Don't turn it over. But if you get those two, you get 2 of those 3 guys, or all 3 would be the best case scenario to kind of pop this year a little bit. And you have 10 of your 11 guys on defense that are impact players. I mean, I'm telling you, this team, like we said, they're going to be a lot better than you think. They're going to be a lot better than you think because of these guys on defense.
So let me take a little page out of the Nuggets playbook, all right? If you look at what Denver's done right, and the number one thing for me, what Denver did right to win a championship, patience.
Yep.
Patience with players, patience with the system, sticking with the system. All right. So I mentioned that because of these players that I just mentioned. Patience. And I'll even mention, you said Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis. Now, a lot of people will look how many interceptions we're getting out of these cats. We're paying them a combined $30 million, $35 million a year, because I was watching them both out here. They weren't in the team drills, by the way. They were just out here doing sprints, and Carlton was bitching about how hot it is out here. But they were but I'm like, wow, there goes $35 million a year in cornerbacks running up and down the field. But it hit me as like, this is when, year 3, year 4, year 5, these guys have the size and the speed and the ability to be great corners. All right. And if Carlton Davis would have hit the market, I'm here to tell you, he's getting, 18, 19 million from somebody else. Everybody coveted him. Same thing with Jamel Dean. You can say whatever you want about Jamel Dean, but if he'd have hit the open market, he was the top corner on the market. So let's not forget that. Other teams look at these guys and go, they're really good. Now, have we gotten the production out of them that we really want in terms of turnovers? No. But you can say to yourself, now they've learned how to play in this Todd Bowles defense. Communication should be better. This could be a year where both of those guys pop. And Winfield moving back to his natural position at safety, right? Now you combine that with Cansey giving you some pressure, JTS getting bigger, stronger, better, a faster defense. Let's bring it back to Devin White, right? we can say all we want about Devin White. He's one of the best blitzing linebackers in football. His quickness on that A-gap blitz is unmatched. And that's where he is at his strength, right? It's like, don't bother covering anybody. You don't have any other responsibility, and just go get the quarterback, right? Use your athleticism. He knows how to do that. And if he overruns the sack, at least he's chasing it into some other athletic players that can make the sack, right? So that's where his impact can be felt. So, look, I mean, every team in the league is going through these machinations, right? If this guy happens, but you're right. Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean are elite corners in this league. They are. We all believe Antoine Winfield is going to be an elite safety, may already be an elite safety, was playing a little out of position last year. So get him back to where he needs to be. Levante, we know he's getting older, but man, if he stays healthy, he's a captain.
Well, I was going to ask that real quick about Levante because, I've heard Warren Sapp talk about this before. It's like, and I think this kind of happened to his career where like he was really good and like elite, and then you come back the next year and then all of a sudden it's like, man, I don't have it anymore. Like it comes really quick. The regression, and like I've seen some of like the video out there, and again, I know it was a shorter practice. I don't know how much Levante was doing, but it kind of looks like just from just watching him, at least, and again, we don't have pads and the benefit of that. Maybe it's better to ask this in training camp, but it seems like we probably are not. I don't think we're going to get that fall off, that quick fall off from Levante David. He still looks like he's in great shape and very agile for his age.
Yeah, he's that Adrian Peterson guy that just doesn't age, right? He just always looks good, always looks fluid. He's always taking care of his body, right? He's not, hanging out at the club. He's that guy. He's that Tom Brady guy that's always taking care of himself and always studying, always doing the right thing. I mean, you love guys like that. You love guys. I just, could it happen? Absolutely. Is he more prone to injury? Absolutely. He's had some foot issues, some other issues, but look, I think he's as good as as there is in the middle, right? And if they can get Devin on track, who better to have next to him than Levante David, right? Because Levante keeps him on track mentally and physically, and will get the best out of Devin. If Devin decides to man up and come back and put all this stuff behind him. So, no, I think this defense has a great opportunity to be one of the better defenses in the league. I really do. And, they got to go out and prove it. We mentioned this many times. They play a lot of young quarterbacks. They play a lot of young quarterbacks. Within their division, you got two very young quarterbacks, and you got Derek Carr, obviously, in New Orleans. But, look, when Dave Canales talks about not turning the ball over, you get a feeling for what the Bucs want to do. I think this is, and I know there's some Bucs fans out there that may cringe when I say this, but this is more of a Dungy-esque type of team, right? The offense is going to be hopefully effective, explosive at times, but they're going to take care of the ball is what they're going to do.
Last time I checked, that Dungy team was a mainstay in the playoffs. It was a few points away in 2 years of getting to a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
so
and let's just be honest, it won a Super Bowl, right? When Gruden came in, yes, the offense got better, no question about it. It was more efficient, but that team, that Super Bowl was won with the defense. So I think, Todd Bowles is a defensive-minded coach. So, yeah, this is going to be don't turn it over, run the football, make some big plays in the passing game when you can, short throws, long runs. I think, is this going to be a vertical passing game? No. Will they be able to take some shots when they need to? Sure. So, yeah, I think if Todd Bowles has his way, that they'll win every game 24-10, 21-7.
Yeah, and I understand it's not going to be an enjoyable brand of football, and it's just let's just call it what it is. It's very unfair to really compare what we're going to see this year to what we saw in 2020 and certainly 2021 as well.
Totally different deal.
Especially when you have a defensive head coach. I mean, off the top of my head, it seems like most of the defensive head coaches seem like they win by running the ball and playing good defense. I mean, the exception to that is probably – I was going to say there seems like there's commotion going on.
Commotion. Jamel Dean is coming to the mic, so see if you can get your feed up. And in the meantime, I'll mosey over there.
Yeah, I'll bounce you out of here real quick. We'll transition to Jamel Dean, who's coming to the mic. I pull that up here. Right. Let's see if we can get Jamel. All right, doesn't look like Doesn't look like the Bucs have a live feed going on for Jamel, unfortunately. So I don't think we'll be able to go live to it, unfortunately. But we will definitely get a firsthand take from JP. In the meantime, let's take a little break here and pay some bills, and then we'll come back and hopefully we'll get some news and notes from Jamel Dean, and we'll continue this Buccaneers conversation. Again, just wrapped up day 3 of mandatory minicamp before they break for 6 weeks and come back for training camp. So back in 3, stay with us. JP live from Buccaneers mandatory minicamp.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on TrueBody and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to italianoinsurance.com.
During COVID, over 1.7 million people were added to the Florida Medicaid rolls, but as of April 1st, 2023, most of these people may not be eligible for the Medicaid coverage and will lose their health plan. If you have been notified you are losing your coverage, don't freak out. It's very likely you can apply for a federal subsidy under the Affordable Care Act. Just call 877-652-0244. Our representatives will walk you through the whole process, get some basic information on your income, number of kids, and then they'll find a plan that best fits your needs. In fact, with the new laws, 90% of Americans qualify for reduced or free health care. You can select great plans like Florida Blue. That's my carrier. Love them. Paying $800 left after making the call. 877-652-0244. Our highly trained professionals know all the intricacies of the new laws. They will do all the work. You save tons of money. So if you're being dropped from Medicaid, fear not. Call 877-652-0244. Get real health insurance, free doctor visits, free blood work, no deductibles. 877-652-0244.
Hey, JP here for Extravaganza Productions Incorporated, EPI. You've probably seen their purple logo at so many events that you've gone to. They are based in Tampa. And for over 33 years, they've been creating and producing conferences, meetings, and special events, the biggest to the smallest. Solid reputation of delivering the best audio, visual, sound, lighting, entertainment, video production, and decor on time and on budget. I've worked with them with so many big events. The Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-style event all over Tampa Bay, from McDill to the Convention Center to USF. They did it flawlessly, made it look big and fantastic. I've worked with them on small events as well, large and small meetings and conferences, sporting events, fundraisers. If you got a fundraiser, you don't know the logistical way to pull it off, they'll take care of everything. Entertainment events, branding events, grand openings, so much more. The folks at Extravaganza Productions are the most professional and the best. I've worked with them many times. They are fantastic. You can contact them through extravaganzaproductions.com or call 813-621-4700. Extravaganza Productions, they are awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, are you looking to lose weight or just lean up for bathing suit season, where there are so many diets and chiropractors and weight loss clinics out there? You don't know where to start, right? We'll start at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo, PA, and his professional staff will devise a personal plan for you that gets results and will help you keep the weight off. Everybody metabolizes food and supplements differently. Many of these other approaches are designed for the masses. So how's that going to work for you specifically? It's not. Chris will spend one-on-one time with you to find out what works best for you, so the weight comes off safely without the use of harmful drugs and side effects. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back on a Thursday edition of the JP Peterson Show. JP out at mandatory minicamp, and I believe we've wrapped up Jamel Dean's media availability. Is that correct, JP?
Yeah, he just wrapped it up. He probably did about 10 minutes with the media. You know what's interesting is he talked a lot about what we just talked about how good this defense could be. It was almost like word for word what we just talked about. So he talked about, the fact that these guys have played together for a while now, especially with Carlton Davis, Winfield, Levante. I mean, a lot of these guys have played. They all won a Super Bowl together, right? He talked about that this defense can be as good as that defense was in its prime, especially at the end of the season when they were shutting down Patrick Mahomes and keeping him out of the end zone. So it's not like this is a huge reach for to say that this defense can be elite. It's done it. It's been there. It's won a Super Bowl. So yeah, and I think when you look at the pieces, the Super Bowl defense compared to this, I mean, a lot of the key players are the same. But again, Shaq Barrett's got to come back and be that pressure guy off the edge. They've got to get more turnovers. Remember, they got a lot of turnovers. And Jamel just mentioned that too. He said, so Scott Reynolds asked him about, what's it going to take to get those turnover mentality back, to start getting those picks back. And he said, he said something really interesting. I thought he said, can't just line up and play our defense. He said, we got to bait the quarterback into interceptions. We have to create the interceptions. I thought that was very interesting because most of the time you'll hear coaches say, hey, play the fundamentals, play the defense. If you do it the right way, the picks will come. The turnovers will come. That's not what he said. He said we got to bait quarterbacks into it. We got to disguise better and bait quarterbacks into things. Because when I watch a lot of other teams play, when you watch the NFL, you look at the big turnover teams. And who was great at this was Luke Kuechly. Luke Kuechly was the master at baiting, specifically Jameis Winston.
I know you're bringing all these throws back into my memory here. I didn't like
right?
that.
And so you talk about baiting quarterbacks into things, and Jameis was pretty easy to bait into interceptions. It was one of his big issues. But that's where you got to, when you have an experienced team, when you got good corners, guys that have played in this league a while, safeties that know what they're doing. That's what you got to do. You got to be smarter than the other team. Sometimes it's not just, creating pressure and making a quarterback make a stupid throw. It's not always that way. Sometimes you just got to be smarter than them. Disguise it, bait them into it. That's, we talked about the Saints and Brady, right? Like the Saints were the only team that could really get to Brady. And that's what they did all the time. They baited him interceptions. They would, because Brady's always 3 steps ahead of you, right? He knows your defense better than you know your defense. He knows what your responsibilities are, right? So he sees man, or he sees his own, or certain combo coverage. He's reading the defense, and he goes, I'm going to throw it before, and they would break their rules. The Saints would break their own rules, and that chess game, just be one move ahead. And that's how they would get the interceptions on Brady. So I think the Bucs have studied that, and they understand that it's not just about playing good, solid defense, playing your fundamentals, do everything right, and the turnovers will come. No, and Jamel said that too. He said you got to take more chances. Sometimes you got to shoot your shot, and you got to go maybe outside your defense a little bit to shoot your shot. Yeah, now that can lead to big plays. We get that, but this the NFL now is about turnovers, right? It's about getting stops and getting turnovers. That's what changes games. Sacks and turnovers. The yards, nobody cares about the yards, really. Total defense, how many yards you give up, nobody cares. It's points. How many points are you giving up? What keeps point totals down? Stealing possessions, right? Getting stops. Stops come from what? Sacks, right? Getting sacks or holding calls or getting turnovers. That's where stops come from. Give your offense more opportunity, and don't turn the ball over. You're going to win most games. That's the way Todd Bowles wants to play. So turnovers are going to be huge in that. And I thought it was really interesting what Jamel Dean said right there.
Yeah, and you also know as well what goes hand in hand with that. And this is true for every team, and I think this has always been the way football's been. Is you have to have a pass rush. You can't get turnovers without a pass rush. It's just that simple. And I think that's why I think you saw that last year where the Bucs really struggled in their back end to get turnovers, is they just didn't have a consistent, specifically a 4-man rush. I think when they brought blitz packages and some of those other things, gave some exotic looks, Devin White, obviously coming in on the blitz, they could get pressure. From a 4-man rush standpoint, they never could. And with how these offenses around the league and how up to date they are and how they're constantly changing, you give a quarterback nowadays, it feels like more than 3 seconds. And I know that's such a short amount of time we think. But in the NFL, as a quarterback, that's a pretty good amount of time. You give them 3, 4, 5 seconds in some cases, these guys are going to find somebody open. And I think that's what happened last year. Like when we talked about why the secondary struggled, I think a lot of it really went into the fact that these guys were just having to chase around receivers longer than they had any right to or business to, because they just couldn't get a pass rush.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember saying to myself watching the tape last year, especially towards the end of the season, I was like, the Bucs aren't disguising their coverages or disguising their defense as much as they used to. I don't see enough A gap blitzes threatened, the double A gap blitz that they used so well with Levante and Devin. I remember just saying to myself, we're not seeing as much of that. They are just kind of lining up in base and trying to beat teams with what they're doing. So I think maybe they did a little bit of self-scouting and said, we got to get back to those uneven fronts, those kind of, those mosh. You see this is very, very trendy now, the NFL, where guys aren't lining up in their regular positions. They're jumping around. They're moving around. Guys are constantly moving around. So you don't know where they're coming from. It's hard to read the defenses. The disguise is the key. And I remember thinking that, the Bucs, and even their blitz rate, if I'm not mistaken, was a bit down. Bowles has always been a heavy blitz guy, and I think even last year that was down a bit. So I think from what Jamel said and from what we're hearing, I think they're going to get back to more of that. And I do think you're going to see more pressure, because listen, if you're paying 2 corners as much money as we are paying, that should allow you to devote more players to the pass rush. You should be blitzing more. If you've got 2 guys that you feel you can put one-on-one with their receivers, I mean, that's the key, man. That's what Belichick's defenses, when they were at their best, were great. The Ravens defense was great that way, because you leave these linebackers open to, not necessarily spend all this time in coverage and get after it and get after the quarterback. So yeah, I think if you're going to pay 2 corners that much, then you should be a very high blitz level team.
Yeah, and you got to have the guys to do it as well. And that was obviously last year was an issue when Shaq went down. And, I love Anthony Nelson. I hate to use the cliche of high motor and all those type of things, but it's true, right? He's like one of those high motor guys. But as a number 2 pass rusher, and actually probably was better than Joe Tryon-Shoyinka last year. So he basically was probably your number 1 edge rusher, I'd argue, for the last 8 weeks of the season. That's sad to say, unfortunately.
Right.
But this year, what is he? The 4th option? If I'm assuming, if I'm banking on Yaya Diaby, I think being more of an upside guy, and I know he's going to take time, but hopefully, if Anthony's like your 4th option, that's a lot better than being your 1st option. So I just think in general, what they've added this offseason in the draft, free agency, they just had more guys up front, I think, to allow them to do some of those things. Last year, I just don't think they really had the manpower. And that was an issue for the Bucs offensively as well, as we know. They didn't have the manpower, I think, to really get up to speed on a lot of these modern concepts and what other teams were doing. And I think they have a much better shot this year.
Nope, I would totally agree. I mean, you got to stay healthy, obviously, but no, they across the board defensively, this is a team that, they, as we mentioned yesterday, have created or devoted a lot of money to this defense, right? Vita Vea is making elite money. Dean, Carlton Davis making elite money. Devin White. And Devin White's making elite money at 11.7. It may not be enough for him, but that's elite money, right? You got, JTS is a first-round pick. Logan Hall's a high second-round pick. You got to get production out of these guys. You draft them high. You pay them a lot of money. They've got to produce. It's a salary cap league, right? So you've got to get bang for the buck. You got to get bang for the buck. And also for high draft picks, those guys have got to play. Malka's got to play. Kalijah Cansey's got to be a main contributor. This is not a rookie class that can come in here and kind of feel their way in. They have to have impact. Malk has got to be a good, you draft him in the second round, you better be a starter. You better be a good offensive lineman. Kalijah Cansey, you got to be an impact player. You got to get in the backfield. You've got to create, at least take some double teams on pass rush to give Vita Vea and your outside guys singled up, and then they got to win. So, all these guys have got to step up. They've got to play. Rashad White's in year 2. Look, man, you're going to get 25, 30 touches a game possibly. You got to produce. So it's time for these young players to step up and take center stage and be the next thing. This just in, Tom Brady ain't here anymore, and he ain't walking through that door. So, this is your team now, young guys. This is your team. And even you put Baker Mayfield in there. We assume he's going to be the starter. That's just an assumption. I know.
He already feels like the leader. He really does. Like, I see stuff, and I know the quarterbacks usually do this kind of thing, but I mean, he seems like he's leading the line in workouts and kind of things like that. He seems like he's working hand in hand with a lot of these receivers, and he's out in the community, which I know you love and I love as well. He's attending all these events. He's doing all the things that a franchise quarterback should do, right?
Yeah.
Especially one that's fighting for his spot. He seems like he's taking on that role. And, when it comes to that and you hear the word moxie and you hear the way he speaks and the confidence, the competitiveness, not knocking Kyle Trask by any means, but it doesn't feel like you get the same feeling there, right? With Kyle Trask from those kind of, I call them intangibles kind of, right, as you get with Baker. So he feels like the leader of the offense. And defensively, I tell you what, Levante David he's the unquestioned leader of the defense. I mean, even yesterday, a lot of these guys come up here and, we've heard it, like they speak for like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever, it is what it is. He spoke for 13 minutes to the media and answered all the questions. I mean, not to go crazy on the Devin White thing again, because we've obviously talked about that a lot, but credit Levante David for taking, he took 5 or 6 questions about Devin White. And he didn't just rub it, shrug it to the side. He gave you a nice in-depth answer every single time. More so than anybody else in this building, honestly, has combined. I'd probably argue. He was
including the head coach.
Including the head coach. He was very upfront about it, which I find refreshing. He spoke a lot about being the longest tenured Buck right now and being the old guy in the room and how much that means to him and to mentor these young guys. He name-dropped Rondé Barber as his mentor when he got into the league, and he name-dropped Darrell Revis and all these things. The more I hear Levante David talk, I mean, we've known it obviously for the last 12 years, but this guy, he's freaking awesome. First-class human being and a first-class Buck. And I think he's going to be so beneficial that he's here for this season.
It's interesting that you mentioned that he played with Rondé Barber and Rondé's a mentor of his, and it kind of takes you, that's the connection to the Super Bowl, the original Super Bowl generation, right? And they pass it down, and Levante, was hopefully passing it down to Devin White, although it doesn't look like that's really working. But maybe that's Winfield. Maybe that's somebody else that's going to lead this defense. Maybe it's Vita Vea. Who knows? But it's a very interesting observation that you make. And Levante stood there for 13 minutes. You know who didn't? Devin White.
It all comes back to him, unfortunately.
Right.
It really does.
And he didn't talk to the media today. Had a chance to talk to the media for the last 3 days.
But do I try to take,
It's probably better that he didn't, to be honest with you.
I was going to say, you take certain things at face value, but when I hear Levante David speak, like I put a lot of stock into it. And if he tells me that, hey, Devin, because he's the one who's been talking to Devin through most of this
Right.
process, right? And when he tells me that, his emotions got the best of him and he shouldn't have done that, and he understands that and he's ready to roll and all that, I feel, me personally, that makes me feel a little bit better. Because that tells me that Levante, he knows how special Devin White can be as a player and how he's shown it in spurts, and he wants him to be that guy. When he leaves the building for probably good after the season, he wants Devin White to be there and be the Levante David for the next 10 years after that. But you got to show up. You got to show up and you got to handle your business. And I think Levante, somebody who's been grossly underpaid his entire career, I think that's a great. I know, like you said yesterday, I know Devin wants his bag, but you got to go out there and you just got to keep playing. You just got to keep playing and you'll get it.
Well, it's interesting. We say he's grossly underpaid, and I think for a lot of his career he was, but he got that second contract, and even the last couple of years he's made some good money, and he's made $84 million in his career. $84 million. And if you put that up to today's standards, that's $100 million, right? And with inflation. So, if Devin wants a $100 million contract, he doesn't have to look any further than the way Levante David has handled his business.
Yeah.
And you're not handling your business the way Levante David did. You're not listening to your mentor. Now, what he said yesterday, what Levante said yesterday, you hope that Devin, received that message and he comes in to camp and he's ready to go. But, he still didn't talk to the media this week. He couldn't step up and do that. So until we see it, I'm not going to believe it. I hope that he got the message from his teammates, but we shall see.
Yeah.
Hey, why don't we take a break and come back? I got to power up my phone here, and we can get into some of the other stuff as well. And I'll stick with you the rest of the way. We'll talk a little bit more about what Jamel Dean said, and we can get into some of the other stuff as well.
Yeah, let's do that. Well, definitely the Rays. We'll mention the Rays, who finally beat these Oakland A's, JP.
Big win. Yes.
It's a big win to beat the Oakland A's. It actually is. So stay with us here on a Thursday of the JP Peterson Show, obviously out at mandatory minicamp. Good Bucs discussion, but we'll get into the Rays and some of the other news and notes as well. Back in 3. Stay with us.
Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by. Never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to jeeveslawgroup.com, tell them JP sent you, get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to jeeveslawgroup.com. Ladies and gentlemen, are you looking to lose weight or just lean up for bathing suit season where there are so many diets and chiropractors and weight loss clinics out there? You don't know where to start, right? We'll start at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo, PA, and his professional staff will devise a personal plan for you that gets results and will help you keep the weight off. Everybody metabolizes food and supplements differently. Many of these other approaches are designed for the masses. So how's that going to work for you specifically? It's not. Chris will spend one-on-one time with you. Comes off safely without the use of harmful drugs and side effects. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to italianoinsurance.com. Hey, JP here for Extravaganza Productions Incorporated, EPI. You've probably seen their purple logo at so many events that you've gone to. They are based in Tampa, and for over 33 years, they've been creating and producing conferences, meetings, and special events, the biggest to the smallest. Solid reputation of delivering the best audio-visual, sound, lighting, entertainment, video production, and decor on time and on budget. I've worked with them with so many big events. The Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-style event all over Tampa Bay, from McDill to the Convention Center to USF. They did it flawlessly, made it look big and fantastic. I've worked with them on small events as well, large and small meetings and conferences, sporting events, fundraisers. If you got a fundraiser, you don't know the logistical way to pull it off, they'll take care of everything. Entertainment events, branding events, grand openings, so much more. The folks at Extravaganza Productions are the most professional and the best. I've worked with them many times. They are fantastic. You can contact them through extravaganzaproductions.com or call 813-621-4700. Extravaganza Productions, they are awesome.
During COVID, over 1.7 million people were added to the Florida Medicaid rolls, but as of April 1st, 2023, most of these people may not be eligible for the Medicaid coverage and will lose their health plan. If you have been notified you are losing your coverage, don't freak out. It's very likely you can apply for a federal subsidy under the Affordable Care Act. Just call 877-652-0244. Our representatives will walk you through the whole process, get some basic information on your income, number of kids, and then they'll find a plan that best fits your needs. In fact, with the new laws, 90% of Americans qualify for reduced or free health care. You can select great plans like Florida Blue, that's my carrier, love them, paying $800 left after making the call. 877-652-0244. Our highly trained professionals know all the intricacies of the new laws. They will do all the work. You save tons of money. So if you're being dropped from Medicaid, fear not. Call 877-652-0244. Get real health insurance, free doctor visits, free blood work, no deductibles. 877-652-0244.
Pure Sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on a Thursday. Nick Getty's holding it down over here at RHS Studios in St. Petersburg. And JP just wrapped up Bucs mandatory minicamp, and he's going to stay with us here for the of the show. And I believe he's with us now. He's coming from his car, I believe, out there in outside the Advent Health Training Center. JP, you got me?
I got you now. So we have gone into the beautiful air conditioning of my luxurious BMW.
I don't blame you. Yeah, I hear you. I don't blame you one bit, because Jordan G had actually brought that up. He said, stay out there, stay hydrated out there. It's a hot one. Swing by BAMMC for some IV fluids before lunch.
I may have to do that. That's a great. I might have to use this as a promo, Jordan G. Yes, it is. I mean, it was hot out there today. Although, they've got 3 OTA practices and they got out there probably a little early today. But I would like to see them use every hour. But Broles gave them a quick run today. They did a couple of things. I guess I can now talk about what I saw since the practice is over. We're legally allowed to say what I saw. Devin Tompkins made an unbelievable catch in the end zone, went up high to snag it for a touchdown. The starting corners weren't out there as far as I know at that particular point. But saw most of the starters out there. Baker Mayfield running the offense, had a couple of big plays. And like you said earlier, man, this is why I wanted to get out here. You see things with your own eyes that just give you a little bit more credibility. That you've seen it. Guys going one-on-one with other guys. I like having my own eyes out here, and you can see that Baker Mayfield. First of all, he can spin it, bro. Like he's got a really good arm. I think back at the combine, he threw it like 70 yards or something. There's on his pro day.
Yeah, and even the one they do now where they have to throw it as hard as they can at that net or whatever, and everybody was going crazy about Will Levis, and I think Baker actually set the record during his combine for that drill.
Yeah, he's got a cannon, man. He's got a cannon, and the other thing is he's just so freaking athletic. He can run and throw. I mean, look, the dude won a Heisman Trophy. He's the number 1 pick in the draft. Everybody wants to trash him. Everybody wants to go, oh, the Bucs went from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield. Look, Baker Mayfield right now is a more athletic, obviously. And, look, I'm not going to say better quarterback because people will go bananas over that. But he is a better quarterback than the Tom Brady we saw last year. Not better than Tom Brady. Not a better career. I'm not, not being stupid here. But the Tom Brady that we got last year, who was completely immobile, was inaccurate, was not a good player. He was not a good player last year. And Baker Mayfield has the opportunity to be a really good player in this offense. He's not going to throw for 5,000 yards. He's not going to throw for 45 touchdowns. That's not what they want. They want him to be the Baker Mayfield of, was it 2019 when they went to the playoffs, where it's, 28 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 3,700 yards. I'm just off the top of my head. And a good running game, that balanced offense where you're playing complementary football and winning football games. And if you're a Bucs fan, that's all you want. And look, it's a little bit of a throwback to the Dungy years, right? Play great defense, run the football with Warwick Dunn and Mike Allstott. Play dominant defense and win games 24-7. I don't think Buck fans have a problem with that. You ain't gonna score 40 points to be a great football team. So this is their plan. Now, can Todd Bowles pull this off? Can Dave Canales pull this off? Can these players play at that high level? That remains to be seen. But I like the atmosphere. I like the roster. I think this roster is way better than people think it is. I think people are overlooking the Buccaneers. I like the spot that they're in.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Canales, and you agree. I think you would agree, and I think everybody in this market believes this. He makes you believe. He makes you believe, without having called a single play of meaningful football in his career, that he can he can get it done, and he says all the right things.
This is the first practice that I've seen with Dave Canales out there. And the first thing you notice is, man, that dude's got about 2% body fat. He is a structured, disciplined man. Because, he is chiseled, and his energy is off the freaking charts, bro. He is running from spot to spot. He is coaching people up. He's uber positive. I mean, it's impressive. Now, does that mean he can call plays and sequence plays? No, but he comes from pretty good stock. He's been around some pretty good offensive minds. So, again, this isn't going to be a season of we'll see. I think, I would, if I sat here and I looked at this roster and said, this is, 2016 garbage Bucs football. You saw it. There was 2 or 3 players out there that were good players, and that was it. There's a lot of Pro Bowlers out here. There's a lot. I think they got 11 guys that have been to the Pro Bowl. And I know the Pro Bowl is not everything, but it just shows you that these guys that are on this roster have played at a high level. They've won a Super Bowl. I mean, I look at this roster a lot like you might look at the Eagles roster, and maybe the Bucs found their Jalen Hurts and Baker Mayfield. I don't know. We'll see. And nobody thought Jalen Hurts was going to the Super Bowl last year, did they? Nobody said Jalen Hurts is going to get a franchise quarterback deal. Everybody was Jalen Hurts is trash. Blah blah blah.
I'm waving my hand.
Yeah.
I stood on that island.
Yeah, and you'll remember I said I like him. I like him as a leader. He's developing as a passer. He's one hell of a runner. But he's, those leadership qualities are what you loved about Jalen Hurts and his athleticism. But could he ever learn how to play quarterback? Well, you know what? It looks like he has. So again, you've got a championship DNA here. You've got guys that have won a freaking Lombardi trophy. They have the template. They know what it takes to win a Super Bowl. Not every team can say that. In fact, most teams in this league can't say that.
Yep.
So, this is look. What is that? Vegas got the Bucs at 5.5. I'm 6, maybe 6.5. I'm going over on their win total. I think they're a solid 10 win, 9, 10, 11 win team.
Well, I'm hopeful, and I can tell you right now, as a long-suffering Bucs fan for many, many years, until the last 3 seasons, I can't tell you how many times I said that around this time as a fan. I'm hopeful about this season. I'm optimistic about this season.
Yeah.
I think I can make a case for this team making the playoffs. I've talked myself into that with every variation of this team, from Josh Freeman being quarterback to Mike Glennon being the quarterback to Jameis being the quarterback. I have done it. I think every Bucs fan has done it, and we've fallen flat on our face every single time. But to your point, this team is a lot more talented. Even though they weren't as buttoned up as me and you would have liked to have seen last year, and there was dysfunction and all that, I think they're still more buttoned up than those teams that we saw in the 2010s. Every single one of them, even the one that had fool's gold 9-7 in 2016, even that one as well. I think they're way more talented, more buttoned up. I think this coaching staff is still an upgrade over those ones. So I'm hopeful. And that's the best I can give you on the 2023 Buccaneers. And we'll see. We got training camp in 6 weeks, right? We got a break for 6 weeks. And,
we'll
then
be right back here and hotter
before you know it, it'd be hot. He'd be even hotter as hell, right? And then before you know it, we're going to be in the swing of things. And I can't wait for football. I cannot. We're midway through June. We're getting closer. If we can endure this month, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it.
Yeah. We'll take you through that, guys. We're going to be doing lots of football during the next 6 weeks. We'll be taking a look, deep dives on the Saints, on the Panthers, on the Falcons, the NFC, all the NFL stuff. There's lots to talk about. So, we'll be getting into the college football. College football teams are going to be reporting, mid-June? They're going to be like late July. So they're even closer to reporting. So there's plenty of football to talk about. But we'll get to some of the other sports now. By the way, quick shout out to my man Darren Herman. My man Darren Hermo's got listening to the show today, watching the show. Shout out Hermo and all Hermo's buddies. So thanks for chiming in today.
Yep, awesome to see. And by the way, you're getting compliments here in the chat from the guys. They appreciate you doing a show on the road today for us. And this is a unique show for us. It's been a while since we've done one of these like remotes at kind of a practice or something like that. But I think we pulled it off well. Well. We went in with a little bit of a plan, and we got sidetracked to some things, but I think it flowed okay. We've proven we could pull it off, you going out on a remote and us doing a 2-hour show, and I think everybody appreciates that, so that's good. But, you definitely mentioned let's get into some of the other stuff, and if you stayed up late last night, like I did, you got to watch the Rays and the A's in Game 3 of that series. And I tell you what, right off the top of the game, after the first inning, JP, if you saw that first inning, I'm just like, can we please get the hell out of this decrepit city and this stadium, please, and this overly obnoxiously loud PA system where I can't hear my own thoughts through the TV, and these fans, there's not many of them in there, but they're making just enough noise to bother me a little bit, and I'm ready to get out of this stadium because it just seemed like it was affecting the Rays or something. I mean, I was ready for like a black cat or something to go across the screen on the field. That's how cursed I thought the Rays were in this series after the first inning, where Yandy finally gets on base against the A's, and so does Wander, and then they both just get thrown out on the base paths. It looked like the 2022 Rays, if I'm being completely honest, last night on the base paths.
Little bit of a throwback. I was like, oh my God, are we going to lose 3 now to the A's? Glass now gives up a 3-run bomb. That was a bomb. He wasn't as sharp as we would hope he would be. What, he had 4 walks last night? But, it's still, you know what? He didn't get hurt. So I'm good.
It's a win.
The Rays won the game. He didn't get hurt. So that's a win. That's a win for Glass now. And I was like, he throws his glove down on the bench. I'm like, hey, big man, chill. You just, second start back. I mean, just relax. Relax. You'll be fine. And then, of course, Yandy comes back with 2 big knocks. Good to see him get going again. Who else had a big knock last night? Wander?
Yeah, Wander had 2 hits. Manuel Margot, 3 hits,
Yeah.
and I believe 3 doubles. 3 doubles
Yeah.
for Manuel Margot, hitting in the 9 hole, by the way, for the Rays. They continue to get
Gotta get him
production.
going.
Continue to get production in the bottom lineup. I think all 8 of the 9 guys got hits yesterday. The only one that did not was Luke Raley, who, by the way, did you see the crushing of the bat over the knee?
The bat snap, yes.
I haven't seen the bat snap in a long time. And
Yeah.
that was a clean break. I'm every time I see that, I just don't understand. Like, I have held so many wood bats before, especially the ones that those guys use, and just the thought of like breaking that over my knee, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, these guys aren't human when I see these type of things. And like, what, Bo Jackson did this like routinely. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
He did it
Like
over
a
his head.
twig.
Did he not? He did it over his
Yeah,
head.
he did over his head one time. Yeah. Yeah, those things. That's a broken femur waiting to happen for you and me. Who was it? I'm trying to remember. Was it BA or maybe it was Doug Wechter on our show? We were talking about Luke Raley and he called him Paul Bunyan. Like, he reminds me of Paul Bunyan. I'm like, that was like a Paul Bunyan move. Like that's got to be his new like nickname or his new vibe, because he's just like this big, strapping, lunky dude who just hits mammoth home runs, and he can run too. I mean, he's unlike anything we've seen in baseball in a while. I mean, can you remember a player like there's Trout's a good athlete, but he's not a huge guy, and he's what, 6'1"?
Yeah, I was going to bring up one that you'll remember, not too long ago removed from him, but Prince Fielder was not like built like Luke Raley. He was obviously a lot more round. He was more of a, like, not to be disrespectful,
He's
but
chubby. Let's go chubby.
He was chubby. He was a bit of a donut. Out there. But if you recall,
Husky,
when Prince
like
Fielder,
he would have been in the husky jeans we used to call him, that I had to wear when I was a kid.
There you go. When Prince Fielder got going on the base paths, that dude could hustle. And he could leg out a triple if he wanted to. I believe he legged out a few, and he was a lot bigger than Luke Raley, obviously, from a wide standpoint. So he comes to mind a little bit. But
Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge can run really well. I mean, Josh Lowe's not as thick as Luke Raley, but he's obviously very tall and lanky.
Yeah.
And obviously he runs very well as also. So I think this is like the big thing that we're seeing with the Rays. And last night, you talk about the aggressiveness on the base paths, and it's been a big reason why they're sitting here right now with 49 wins, best in the MLB, by the way, still. But last night they were aggressive, and it didn't really work out. I mean, interesting enough that Langoliers back there, for all the flack you give the A's for not having a great roster, that guy's thrown out more runners than anybody in Major League Baseball this year.
Yeah,
so I think that guy can play some defense, and the fact that he was throwing out Wander, he threw out Randy twice in this series, he threw out Josh Lowe in this series. He kind of controlled. I think that's a big thing of why the Rays have struggled in this series, is they haven't been able to really get their base running going, and you could see the difference that it makes. You can really see the difference it makes, because these athletic teams like the Rays and have young guys that can run, I think you're seeing that. That's the reason why the Rays, the Orioles, and the Diamondbacks, 3 of the youngest teams in the league, are the 3 best teams in the league right now, because they have these young guys who are playing advantage to the rules.
That's a great point too. And when you play a team like the A's, who's got a great defensive catcher, and they're paying attention obviously to the Rays running game big time. Yeah, that's a kind of a template that maybe some of these other teams got to look at, but you still have to have a catcher with a cannon for an arm. You still got to have, pitchers who know how to keep runners close. You're not changing the size of the bases, obviously, because they're, the new rules, but those are things that you can do to limit the running game. No question about it. And you're right. It has kind of taken a toll, but the Rays had 13 hits last night.
Yep. 13
So, they only got 6 runs out of it, but 13 hits is 13 hits. You should win that game. So let's hope they get the same thing done today. No question. But I like, I like the fact that they haven't lost 3 games in a row all year long. They're the only team in baseball that hasn't. And that's because pitching and defense shows up every single night. And if you're limiting teams to 3 runs or less, you're going to win most of those games, especially when you got an offense like the Rays does. So that's why, when you're 49 wins, you can project out that this team, I don't see this team going into a prolonged slump, because you've got, You've got now Tyler Glass now. You've got McClanahan. You got Eflin. Like all three of those guys are slump busters, right? they're slump busters. They're not going to let you go into a prolonged slump because all those guys can win their starts every single time they go out. So yeah, that's why they're not going to have prolonged slumps, hopefully. So.
Well, that's why I keep bringing up the Mets so much because I think that's the most fascinating thing is what's going on with the Mets this year and all the money they've spent on the pitching. Well, Verlander hadn't been great, and Scherzer looks like he's a little cooked right now. If you saw the other night, he got 3 1/3 through. He gave up 6 runs to the Yankees. He's not right. The Mets just can't pitch, and that's the thing. You talk about slump busters; those are supposed to be the two guys there for him, and right now they're just not performing. In the Rays, it's completely different story when you look at McClanahan, Glasnow, Eflin, and even Yanni, who again they didn't get the win the night before, but Yanni still made it through 5 innings and did his thing and limited runs, which is really all I care about. I don't necessarily am caught up with the way he gets it done. I just want him to get it done, so that's been good to see. And also shout out to the bullpen last night because I'm sure every Rays fan saw Glasnow get in a pickle there in the 5th inning, or in the 6th inning rather, and he only got 1 out. And he loaded the bases, I want to say, with 1 out. And here comes Ryan Thompson back off the injured list. And I'm thinking, okay, well, he wasn't great when he was here last time. Sometimes he gets into these modes where I don't know if he knows where the ball's going. And I was getting a little nervous. But Ryan Thompson, I haven't seen him pitch like that in a long time. He went an inning and 2/3, 2 strikeouts, no hits. The entire bullpen combined there for the 4 2/3 they had to cover gave up 1 hit. 1 hit and no walks and 5 strikeouts. I mean, job well done to this bullpen, which I think has been coming around lately. The additions of Diekman and Armstrong and Stevenson, who has a wicked slider, and some of these other guys. Poche has been, honestly, I can't say anything bad about Colin Poche at the moment. He continues to be one of the more reliable arms. Adam, another outing last night that was great. And Fairbanks comes off the IL today. So you get your closer back. So the bullpen, all of a sudden, looks like it's fixed itself for the moment. And, Beeks, by the way, see you later. Jalen Beeks, sit down to the AAA. I don't think any Rays fan is really getting all up in arms over that one. I didn't think the Rays were going to do it, to be honest, but I'm glad they did. And the bullpen is finally looking like they're at full health here.
Great bullpen analysis from Nicky Numbers right there. I love it.
Right there.
Yeah, top shelf stuff. You mentioned Stevenson. What are your thoughts on the yellow cleats, the yellow belt? He's got a little swag going. He's making a statement out there.
He fits in. I mean, doesn't Wander wear the colorful cleats too? Right?
Yeah.
The colorful wristbands. I mean, Acuna with the Braves, he's always done that, and he sticks out like crazy. And the Rays just have a lot of swag.
They got swag. I love it.
We're the swag kings right now. It's such a difference from some of the boring teams that we've seen before, like last year's Rays. They have so much swag, and even like the way Jose Siri plays center field. I tell you what, Brian Henderson gets so freaked out about this every time, but it's almost like he's trying to make everything like, a flair for the dramatic, It's not to the extent of Kiermaier, I'd add, where he's just unnecessarily jumping. But you notice every time there's a fly ball to Siri, he waits to like the last possible second to put his glove up, and he makes it look so kind of flashy. And you're just waiting for the moment where it's going to bite him in the ass a little bit. And I think it did once, maybe a couple of weeks ago. But hey, I think you would honestly say this. I like guys who have confidence and swag like that to just go and do their thing. And how can you argue with the results? I mean, 49-22 kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, I think Kevin Cash has a really good, pulse of the team here, and he seems to allow them to express themselves until something pops up, and then he'll jump up and make sure it doesn't happen again. But that's fine. It's a fine line between cocky and confident, right? The fine line between cocky and confident. So keep it on the confident side, alleviate the cocky side, and they'll be fine. So I look who we got after this. We're Oakland, and then we're off to right?
We're off to San Diego, which is going to be a beautiful backdrop. I think one of the nicer stadiums in the MLB.
Oh yeah, Petco's awesome.
For a nice 3-game set, 3 different times, by the way. Friday night, you're going to have to do another 9:41, but 7:15 on Saturday and 4:10 on Sunday. And then today, reminder, we don't have to stay up late tonight. We got 3:30 today with Taj Bradley going back to the Hill. coming off his worst start, facing Paul Blackburn, who I believe was the A's All-Star last year. And this is like his third start of the season. He was injured. So this is one of the A's better pitchers. So should be a good one. Hopefully we can get a split. I mean, I didn't think we were thinking we were going to get a split in Oakland. I thought at least 3 out of 4, right? But that's just how baseball
We were
goes.
hoping.
Just how baseball
we were hoping
goes.
for that. Yeah, you don't get pissed off at a team that's 49-22 for losing a couple of games to the A's on the road trip. And by the way, there was no off day. You know, it was straight to the West Coast. You got to, get there, and all the shenanigans going on with the reverse protest and all that stuff. It's just,
And it's hard.
I
was going to say too. In the A's, they put it up last night. 15 of their 19 wins have come against teams that are over 500. So that almost tells you that maybe some of these top teams, including the Rays, maybe they're taking them a little light. I mean, you play it again. They were coming off a series against Texas. It was the series of the weekend around Major League Baseball, regardless what ESPN wanted to tell you. It was not the Red Sox game. I can tell you, it was the Rangers and the Rays. And then you go immediately to Oakland, and just the weird vibes that were going on, the protests the other night with 30,000 people, that was unexpected. And then now you go to San Diego, which they're not playing great baseball, but still there's a lot of stars, so you got to take them serious. But guess what? Then they get an off day, and then we're back at home, and you got the Baltimore Orioles coming in. I mean, it goes up immediately. It's a little 2-game set, so it's going to be pretty quick. But again, the Orioles, now they lost last night, so the Rays went back up to 5 up on the Orioles. But that's going to be a big series. I'm curious to see what the Rays can be through the next 4 games and what it's going to be like when they play the Orioles, because the Orioles had their number last time we faced them, if you remember. So this is a chance for them. I'm sure they're hoping that the Rays slip up here on this West Coast trip and they can cut the gap.
And I think also, the Rays have typically played down to their competition, right? It's just, and I think you saw that with the Braves when they played the A's. The Brewers, they went and swept the Brewers. So look, I mean, teams, when you're playing at the high level that the Rays are, and you're playing the Yankees and you're playing the Rangers, you get to Oakland and you just, it's human nature. You just tend to exhale, right? A little bit, but they'll go to San Diego. That place is going to be packed. It's going to be stars galore, right? Everybody's going to be out there. For baseball players, like, for Wander to be playing against Tatis and all these other guys, these big names, Machado, and, these are guys that the Rays look up to, and they're going to be, they're going to get, the Padres will get their best from the Rays. The Rays will be at their best because it's going to be a supercharged atmosphere, packed house, always packed at Petco, great weather. I love that park. That is probably, top 3 park for me. It's of the modern stadiums, it's probably my favorite because it's got everything. Downtown San Diego, beautiful weather, so many different restaurants there, great sight lines, got an old style feel to it with the warehouses in left field. That is, I mean, if you want to look at a park that I would like the Rays to emulate, except put a roof on it, it would be Petco. It's got a beach. It's got a little sandbox out in center field for the kids to hang out in. It's got everything. So yeah, that's going to be a great atmosphere. Looking forward to that. But one more with the A's, split this one today, and then get to San Diego.
And by the way, I was reminded too. I looked at the schedule on the Saturday game against the Padres, the one that's at 7:15 our time, 4:15 their time. That game's nationally televised. It's on Fox, not FS1.
Oh wow!
It's on Fox.
Wow.
The Rays are TBD, right? I don't know who's going to be pitching for them. It might be the opener and Yanni for them. But guess who's pitching for the Padres?
Who's that?
Our boy Blake Snell. Our boy Blake Snell.
Wow.
You want to talk about a cool little interesting storyline nationally televised against Blake Snell and the Padres. That's going to be a ton of fun on Saturday night.
Blake Snell versus the Slapdick Prospects.
Against the Slapdick Prospects. There you go. That's going to be perfect. Just a comment right here from Richie. I meant to address this yesterday because I saw this interview, but I just had brought up Red Sox Yankees, and I've kind of said I don't feel like it's as big of a rivalry as it used to be. I feel like it's dead. He said, "Did you see some of the Yankee guys saying the Boston games are not really a rival game anymore, and they feel more heat from the Rays and Blue Jays?" I saw that. Nestor Cortez said that it's really not that big of a deal right now when they play the Red Sox. It doesn't have that kind of fire to it. Whereas in recent years, you see the games they play against the Rays and against the Blue Jays, it kind of has that feeling to it. And I guess I was surprised to hear a player kind of openly say that, because everybody's trying to sell me that the Red Sox and Yankees is, this great rivalry still. And I watched some of those games because they were all nationally televised. They were easy to watch. And I don't get that feeling anymore. I just don't.
Well, listen, I'm sure, as we know, many of the movers and shakers of in baseball watch this show, and I'm sure they caught what Nick Geddes said, and they're like, yeah, you know what, you're right, absolutely, you're a trendsetter, Nick Geddes, well done.
Of course.
Yeah, no, but your observation was spot on, and NBC or it was interesting. I was watching ESPN last night before the Rays game. The game they were playing. I'm trying to remember. I think it was the Yankees, probably the Yankees, and they said that rivalry, it drew 2 million fans in terms of the ratings. 2 million fans watched the Yankees and the Red Sox on Sunday night.
Then I'll just shut up then, because
but that's not. No, but that's just that's a product of ESPN forcing it down your throat and selling Yankees, Red Sox, and all the clips from 30 years ago. But you're right, and I think the players are right. It's just doesn't have the buzz that it once had, because the Yankees haven't won squat since 2009.
Well, I get it. If you're a casual baseball fan, not the everyday watcher like we are, obviously, and so many others, you're scrolling through your TV on, a Sunday night, which is not typically a primetime spot for TV, right? There wasn't much going on. We didn't have NBA finals. We didn't have NHL finals. And you go past ESPN and you see on the ticker or the guide, Red Sox, Yankees, you're a casual fan. You're like, ooh, I remember those guys. Like, I'm going to tune into that. So it's not surprising that they got 2 million. That's a big number for any baseball game. That's especially a regular season. I mean, the World Series doesn't really do much past that, if I'm being completely honest with you, anymore. So I get it. I mean, I just think everybody's fatigued out of seeing every game on national TV, and Cardinals and Cubs. That's another one. That's their go-to for the National League, is Cardinals, Cubs. And I'm like, when are the last time those two teams have been great at the same time?
No, it's so like 1965. I mean, let's get with it. I mean, there's a lot of new franchises in baseball that are playing great ball, and they're much more exciting. I mean, it's Astros, it's Rays, it's Braves. These are the teams I want to see. I mean, I'm the Yankees are boring to me.
No, please don't show me the Mets. Please, I can't watch the Mets anymore. I just can't.
Well, the Mets are kind of like the mess. I mean, they're kind of like watching a train derailment. It's like you can't take your eyes off it. As much money as they spend and as bad as they are, I mean, that's kind of hilarious. But yeah, hopefully, the Rays will play themselves into some more national games. But it's good they're going to be on Fox on Saturday, right? Saturday, Dan?
Yeah, Saturday, and then it's going to be the Saturday game, and then the following week too. I looked at the schedule; they have so many great series coming up. They're going to get Arizona the following week, which is the best team in the NL right now. They're going to get the Phillies at home. The Braves are going to be at home. One of those games is going to be on Peacock again, nationally televised on streaming. So there are going to be some good series coming up. That's going to be great to get at the ballpark. I think I'm already penciling out.
Yeah.
I've got to be in there against the Braves. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Let's go to the Braves game for sure.
Yep, and that'll take us to the All-Star break, and hopefully by then the Rays have surpassed 60 wins at the All-Star break. I think that's there's a potential to get. I mean, we get one today. We're at 50, if you can believe it. So there's a chance for this team to get to the All-Star break at 60.
That's insane. That's insane. Hey, all right. Well, let's take a break, and then we'll finish up with some other stuff and a couple other observations from Bucs camp.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's take a break. Let's regroup and finish up. Get some other news and notes around the NFL as well, which continues to churn out some interesting developments there with Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Hopkins and some of these other things. So back in 3. Stay with us here on a Thursday edition of the JP Peterson Show.
Guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. Hey, JP here for Extravaganza Productions Incorporated, EPI. You've probably seen their purple logo at so many events that you've gone to. They are based in Tampa, and for over 33 years, they've been creating and producing conferences, meetings, and special events, the biggest to the smallest. Solid reputation of delivering the best audio-visual, sound, lighting, entertainment, video production, and decor on time and on budget. I've worked with them with so many big events. The Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-style event all over Tampa Bay, from McDill to the Convention Center to USF. They did it flawlessly, made it look big and fantastic. I've worked with them on small events as well, large and small meetings and conferences, sporting events, fundraisers. If you got a fundraiser, you don't know the logistical way to pull it off, they'll take care of everything. Entertainment events, branding events, grand openings, so much more. The folks at Extravaganza Productions are the most professional and the best. I've worked with them many times. They are fantastic. You can contact them through extravaganzaproductions.com or call 813-621-4700. Extravaganza Productions, they are awesome. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by, never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to jeeveslawgroup.com, tell them JP sent you, get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to jeeveslawgroup.com.
During COVID, over 1.7 million people were added to the Florida Medicaid rolls, but as of April 1st, 2023, most of these people may not be eligible for the Medicaid coverage and will lose their health plan. If you have been notified you are losing your coverage, don't freak out. It's very likely you can apply for a federal subsidy under the Affordable Care Act. Just call 877-652-0244. Our representatives will walk you through the whole process, get some basic information on your income, number of kids, and then they'll find a plan that best fits your needs. In fact, with the new laws, 90% of Americans qualify for reduced or free health care. You can select great plans like Florida Blue, that's my carrier, love them, paying $800 left after making the call. 877-652-0244. Our highly trained professionals know all the intricacies of the new laws. They will do all the work. You save tons of money. So if you're being dropped from Medicaid, fear not. Call 877-652-0244. Get real health insurance, free doctor visits, free blood work, no deductibles. 877-652-0244.
Pure Sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to a Thursday edition of the JP Peterson Show. Nick Getty's holding it down here at RHS Studios in St. Petersburg. JP, who was out at Bucs mandatory minicamp today, he's in his car. Are you still in the parking lot over there at One Buck?
I still am, yeah. You know, you never know. I might get a quick workout here when I'm done.
They haven't thrown you out
do
yet?
a couple sprints out there. No, go do a couple sprints out there, you know, work out the old, get the cannon going again, you know. So I get a little inspiration watching Baker run around, throw the ball out there.
Oh, I'll give you my best stretch. Let me give you this right here. Let me give you this. Do one of these because tonight I got softball. I got to get the arm going again.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
See if we could snap the losing streak.
Have you gone yard yet?
No, but I think I'm getting closer. Last game I hit one.
Where are you guys playing your games?
Gadsden Park.
The one down by McDill?
Yeah, right off of Inner Bay.
Yeah, with the short porch and left?
Yeah, that's the
with
one.
the big net. Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, last game I hit one off the wall, but it was just foul. Like, it was probably like a few inches foul on the left field line. I was
Mhm.
just in front of it a little bit, but it hit the wall, so that was close. And then my last at bat, I tried to see if I could hit one out, and I got under it just enough, and I hit probably a lazy fly ball to left field. But I think I'm getting closer. But I'm not a power hitter. I'm not a power hitter, admittedly.
Do you have any guys on your team that go yard in that joint?
We have one guy on our team that has gone yard so far, and if that is pretty much the reason why we are 0-4. Because all these other teams, I'm telling you, they got like dad strength. A lot of them are older than us, and it's like, this is like, yeah, not quite your level, but they all got dad strength. And I mean, we've given up probably like 20 home runs, I want to say, in 4 games, and we've hit 3, and they've all come from one guy. So and we had last week when you weren't here, I said it, we had bases loaded with 1 out, and we got nothing. We just deserve.
Oh my God!
We
Softball?
deserve.
How
In
is that
softball,
even possible?
we scored, JP, in 7 innings last week. We scored 2 runs. 2 runs.
Wow.
That
This
you have
is
to
slow
try
pitch, right?
to do that. This is slow pitch. We've actually given up the second fewest runs in the league, but we've scored the least fewest, and that's why we are 0-4.
Well, I'm just saying there may be some free agents out there that could add a little pop to your lineup.
Listen, I'm not gonna.
I'm just saying.
I'm not gonna say his name on here, but we do have a liability in the lineup. He's actually struck out twice in slow pitch.
Oh my God!
And it's like
Oh my God!
it's such a liability. He's actually pitching for us right now because we can't have him play the field. So I trust me, we could use you right there in the 4-hole. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
What time's game time tonight?
Well, we got a 7:30 tonight. They're different every week. Like next week we got a 10 o'clocker. That one's gonna be a late one. But today we're right at 7:30. I hate this time, by the way, because the twilight. This happened last game. We played at 8 o'clock.
Oh yeah.
And I was playing in the outfield, and there was a fly ball hit to me, and the twilight, something happened. The lights in the twilight, I lost the ball completely. Had no idea where it was, and it just dropped behind me. Had no idea. And the same thing happened. I felt a little bit better about it because I don't know if you saw the clip from the Texas. I can't remember who they were playing. It was Texas in the College World Series, in one of the regional games. And
Lost
the game ended because the sky was one of those twilight skies and the lights, and it was a pop up to center, and nobody knew where the ball was, and that's how they lost. So when I saw that, I was like, "That's exactly what happened to me." I was like, "I feel so much better now that I'm not the only one."
It's enough. People actually believe you now.
Yeah,
you lost
seriously.
it in the lights. Yeah. All right, but if you need a little pop in the lineup, I could be available tonight. Could be available tonight. You just have your general manager contact my agent, see if they can work out, a little deal.
Yeah,
and
we can put you under a fake name, but that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay. That'll work.
Six pack of High Life could probably get it done.
Hey, by the way, my goodness, Nick's playing his softball games in the Trop. It's pretty close to it, Richie. It's pretty close to it, Richie. It's pretty hard. But no. Hey, by the way, intern Nick just told me, because we actually played the audio today. I can't confirm Nikola Jokic is at the parade. He's at parade.
Yeah.
Jokic just made it to the parade. Huh?
What day is parade?
What day is parade?
I want to go home.
I think I saw a story, by the way. I think he lost his NBA Finals MVP trophy. Yes. He's actually lost the trophy. Yeah, I don't think he actually picked it up.
No, he picked it up and put it right back down. He's like, yeah, whatever.
And I think he left it there, or he lost it, probably intentionally. I don't know.
How do you lose the trophy? Aren't you counting on somebody picking that up for you and bringing it to the facility or something? Whatever.
I don't know.
Well, all right, what's going on with? I was thinking D-Hop and Dalvin Cook are free agents right now.
Right.
Like if this was the NBA, that's like what? KD and Anthony Davis or something.
Not that high up, but I mean, just think of an NBA player that's probably
D-Hop's arguably top 5 receiver in the game. Dalvin Cook's top 3 running back in the game. So I don't know what we're talking about here. Like both of these guys are game changers. What do you mean maybe? What do you mean maybe? They're game changers. Isn't it crazy?
They got some miles underneath them right now. They got some miles underneath them.
Yeah, so does LeBron and Kim. I don't know. Whatever. I mean, D-Hop ain't coming here, and I don't think Dalvin Cook's coming here either. It would take some major restructuring of deals.
D-Hop's going to New England. I think I saw it yesterday. It looks like New
It's
England's
done?
It's not done, but it looks like New England's the favorite. I was hearing some of the insiders say that yesterday after his visit, which went really well. It's just, didn't that kind of end poorly with him and Bill O'Brien in Houston? Did it
And
not?
poorly. Yeah. Like horrible. Like horrible. It was bad. I mean, it was, I'm not remember. I just remember the context of it. It seemed very, I hate to use this word, but racist. I mean, it just seemed like the what D Hop said about what Bill O'Brien told him just seemed really, really bad.
Yeah.
Very poor choices of words.
I will
Very,
say though, I mean, obviously Bill O'Brien's not the head coach in New England, for obviously, and I think Belichick still has that mystique where I think guys do kind of want to play for him, if that makes sense. And I think if you've seen the clips, I'm just saying this in Hopkins' case, because have you seen the clips every time they've played Hopkins over the years? Bill Belichick goes out of his way to go up to DeAndre Hopkins and chat with him for a little bit. And they have those mic'd up things where he tells him all the time, you're the best in the league. You're the best I've seen in a long, long time. Bill Belichick loves DeAndre Hopkins. So I think there's a pretty good rapport there between those two guys. And I know it seems like an odd fit, but wouldn't everybody kind of say that Randy Moss and Bill Belichick was an odd fit? And that one seemed to work out great. So I for whatever reason, I feel like New England and DeAndre Hopkins is going to happen.
Well, Belichick and D-Hop, that makes sense. But Belichick and, D-Hop and Bill O'Brien does not make sense. So maybe they figured it out. Whatever, money talks. So I know New England's got some cap room, so they'll be able to do the deal. And that makes New England a very interesting team. So, look, and we got, Stephon Diggs. I don't know what the hell's going on with him and Josh Allen. That's just weird. And that tweet that he put out yesterday, wow, okay. And then, so what's going on in Buffalo? But they still got a damn good roster. Miami looks loaded, right? If Tua can stay healthy.
If they can sign Dalvin Cook. Because it just makes so much sense.
The Jets got Aaron Rodgers and a damn good roster. And who am I forgetting in the division? Dolphins, Bills, Jets,
Patriots,
and the Patriots. Yeah, and the Patriots get D-Hop. They've already got a pretty good defense, and they now have an offensive coordinator. Wow, shocking development how that works out. So wow, what a division that is.
There may be some really good teams in the AFC that unfortunately are not going to have winning records or make the playoffs.
Yeah,
the AFC is, and you already know who's running the AFC. I mean, come on. You can name all these teams you want. I already know the team I'm picking to represent the AFC. I'm just going to keep picking them every single year.
Yeah, but that's, look, their starting left tackle is Donovan Smith. So,
Donovan Smith. And they're talking about how they've upgraded. I don't know about that.
We shall see. All right, partner. Great show today. Good job. That was nice. We got it done on the remote, so maybe we'll do this more often. It worked out pretty well.
Yep, good stuff. Thank you for joining
training camp. Here we come.
Yep, training camp. Here we go. Buccaneers football. I cannot wait. Every time we talk about football, I get so amped up. Again, the Rays. I almost said tonight. Today, 3:30. Reminder: going for the split against Oakland before they jet off to San Diego and beautiful Petco Park. We'll be back here tomorrow. JP, you should be in studio, right?
I'll be in studio. See you tomorrow.
Studio, 2 hours. So see you tomorrow and see everybody else tomorrow. Enjoy a nice, beautiful day. And Tampa Bay, everybody, back in about 22 hours with 2 hours of Tampa Bay Sports Centric Talk.